Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and we are back with another reaction to Loki. We're on season 2, episode 5, which is called Science/Fiction. All right, so the last episode, we got into the nitty-gritty of trying to save the TVA from being overloaded, and we had Ravonna and Miss Minutes basically tried to launch a counterattack against the TVA to take over it. So they went and tried to recruit Docs and her militia, I guess would be the best way to describe them, hoping that they would join her in taking over the TVA and forcibly making Timely help them. But we saw that Docs and her people were like, no, we're purists. We don't believe in what you're doing. We don't think you're here to help the TVA. We think you're trying to help yourself. So they basically chose death over following Ravonna, which really, again, should have been her indicator that maybe she should reassess her leadership skills. But in that, also, Ravonna learned that she's actually been next to Kang for basically since the TVA's inception, and that she was the general of his war efforts to take over all the different planets and get them all onto the sacred timeline. And that she did that because she was promised by He Who Remains that they would rule this sacred timeline together. But of course, that's not what happened. He wiped her memory as well as everybody else at TVA, and she's basically been doing all this work that she believes she deserves credit for, but didn't get the credit for. So yeah, she's very salty, as is Miss Minutes, and they almost succeeded in getting, well, they tried to. They kidnapped Timely, and they were trying to force him to use his device to help them. However, thankfully, Loki and Mobius and everyone over there were able to figure out something. Well, Timely basically stalled. He took his time stalling and making sure he didn't just hand things over to Ravonna and Miss Minutes. And the Lokis were able to come up with a plan to get him back. They ended up pruning both Ravonna, and they rebooted the entire TVA system, which basically wiped out Miss Minutes. So as we know right now, those two are out of the picture, but I have to think that it's not going to be that simple. There's got to be more. And oh, the big part of last episode, almost, how I forget this. Victor Timely went out to go and put the new device that was going to help adjust the TVA so that they could take on all the new multiple branches that were being created in the timeline. But it turned out that the radiation was actually too much. And literally the second he stepped out on the platform, he became ribbons. And I'm very curious to know what we're going to do to fix this issue now that we know we can't send somebody out onto the gangway to fix it manually. So let's get into this episode. But just before I do, I'll remind that if this is your first time on my channel, welcome, by the way. I do a lot of reactions here to all kinds of shows like this one, and if you'd like to support me on this journey or any of the other ones, I'd appreciate it so very much if you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. I just hit 10K the other day, which I'm super excited and thankful for, but I would love that family to grow even more and welcome you too, so please go ahead and do so. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you showed some love and threw some comments below. It helps the girl out a lot, and I love reading them and interacting with you guys. All right, that out of the way, guys, let's get into the episode right about now. It's oddly quiet. Too quiet. Where is everybody? Did he just time slip again? No, we still have multiple threads, and the blast doors are wide open. What is happening? No, for real, where is everybody? Time, I knew it, he's time slipping again. What happened? How? I'm sorry, his hair flip will never get tiring for me. Okay, past, right?
Hello?
Or future. No, we didn't see him reading the manual in the past. Okay, so branches are still branching. Everyone is gone. Future? Lights are still flickering. Yeah, so whole city's still flickering. TVA. Okay, so it was the future he went to. Briefly. There we go. Oh my. This show's gonna break my brain.
Hello?
Please tell me you know what just happened. Ribbons? Why are things ribboning? Is everything ribboning? I think you need to run, fam. Run, fam. Run, fam. Oh, never mind. There's no direction for you to run to. So the TVA is just falling apart. Oh, failsafe. So what's the failsafe? Destroy the TVA? I mean, what kind of a failsafe would Kang have put in to why would he destroy his life's work? Sir, moisturizer? Just a dab. Where are we? What is happening? Who are you people? Oh, from the TV. Why is TVA boy In jail. I'm confused. Is this his life? Is this where he was before he was yanked? That's actually hilarious if that's the case, considering he turned out to be such a TVA nerd, if he actually was like a criminal in his timeline. San Francisco, California, 1962. Branch timeline. Okay. Yep.
Thank God you're here. Is everyone here? Who are you? Not again.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Look around. Where are you, Loki?
I don't know how I got here. That's the problem. I don't know what's happening, Casey.
Can you just keep it down? We're clearly breaking out of prison.
His name's Casey. I don't know this guy. I don't know.
Remember, they were wiped. He was given a new identity, like Mobius. Frank is probably what his real name is. Don't ask questions. Keep hauling whatever you're hauling. Just go.
Come on.
He's the devil. Keep going. That would be me. If I'm trying to escape prison, I'm not going to ask questions when I just saw a man do some weird demon. Okay. So he just went to what's-her-name's world, I think. And then to Sylvia's world, and now he's back at the TVA. That's the first room he was in, right? Time Theater. Yeah.
Cast on here for you. It's going to help.
Oh, wow. We're going to everyone's different timelines. Okay. So that's why they're not at the TVA. Don't ask questions, sis. Just go to the next patient. Of course he's on a CDU. Of course he is. Mobius living his best life. Do we get to find out his real name now?
Little miss slapping you in the face.
Dawn. I like Mobius better.
Talk to me. What are you thinking?
Sorry.
2002, Cleveland, Ohio. And you still haven't called it. That was great. I saw what they did with the mannequin behind him. That's funny.
Crazy. I don't get it.
So I feel like they've all been pushed into timelines that were similar to the ones they were pulled from.
Told you I'll call him back.
Your other son.
Tell him I'll call him back too.
Maybe you should talk to your kids. If both of them are calling you in the span of 5 minutes, it's probably important.
It's really good. He's one of the greats.
Oh, me.
Are you buying your own book?
Am I? Is this Ouroboros' house? Okay, he's clearly a trusting person, lives in a great neighborhood. 3 Chains, his rap name. He basically just recreated his room in the TVA with the chute and everything. You notice that? So no one can really stop being what they're supposed to be. Oh my God.
It's going to be hard to believe.
Harder to believe than you just popped in front of me?
You were a writer.
Yes. Science fiction.
I'm doomed.
I had to get a PhD to keep my day job teaching theoretical physics at Caltech.
Wait, you're a scientist as well?
Of course.
I need to go back to before the temporal loom melted down.
You can't. It's impossible. Don't let that stop you.
I don't understand what you've just said.
A place that doesn't exist anymore is equally impossible. And therefore, it's something you might be able to do.
Sure.
I get what he's saying. The 2 negatives are canceling each other out to make a positive.
You need to learn how to control your time slipping.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Make it happen. It's
This is the TVA. Look at the door.
Because you keep ending up around exactly the
People you're looking for. I was thinking that.
It's like you're a better version of one of those tampads. With science, it's all what and how. But with fiction, it's why.
Ooh, deep.
why do I need to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, don't disappear.
There will be nothing to protect against what's coming.
So go ahead.
Is it really that? Or are you trying to protect yourself? Are you trying to protect Sylvie? Like, find whatever you need. Just whatever you need to do, sir. How about you need to save Sylvie? I think that's the only thing you've been emotionally attached to since this started. Truly. And Mobius a little bit.
Maybe you need to try harder.
I'm trying.
I like how literal he always is. Oh, Thor would pay good money to see this.
Really feels like time slipping is the answer.
Yeah. It's not the right why.
What are you doing?
Science.
Okay, let's forget about the time slipping. Right?
Why? It's clearly the only way you're getting around, bro.
I saw it disappear with my own eyes.
But then you said you also time travel in a place at the
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, you keep trying to use science needs absolutes. You need to use some fiction, bro.
We can read that aura. It'll be like coordinates.
And we can use these coordinates to get back to that moment in time.
No. We don't have one of those tempaths you talked about.
And you can't control your time slipping. Come on, dude. You literally do magic and you're sitting there talking about logic. Let's go, Loki. How fast can you read this book, memorize it, and figure out how to make this thing, even though you don't maybe even have the technology?
So I am gonna write a bestseller.
Okay, if that's what you're taking from it, sure.
Let's get to work.
Oh well.
Oh, that's a problem.
I like that he's taking it so well. Everybody else was like, what the hell? And he's like, Obi's always been chilling.
Don't run, Kevin. Kevin, get. Sean.
Wow.
Go get him. Come on. Hurry.
Why does Sean have to get him? Isn't your job as his dad?
Hey. Oh, you were at the shop earlier.
That's right.
Yeah, why do you know where I live, creepy? That would bother me.
Did you follow me home?
Yeah? Right?
I got something I want to show you. Come here.
Were you not cleaning the yard? You wonder why your kids don't respect it.
I'm going to tell you something that's hard to understand, Mobius.
Mobius?
Mobius, that's your name.
No, it's probably Dawn.
I don't want any trouble.
It's all right. I'm a friend.
I know you are.
Yeah, but you're acting really creepy right now.
How did you build a tempad so fast?
I don't know if I say 18 months is fast. Well, 19 months.
Wow, he's jumping time too.
You saved my life when I first arrived. You saw something in me that I hadn't seen in myself.
He's like, this is a very creepy therapy session, sir, but I have 2 kids that are probably burning the house down. I gotta go.
See, my friend?
Kind of.
Moby,
Why don't I remember?
The way he's just playing with his new toy. Wait, how did he find Loki?
you once told me it was the only life you'd ever know.
What my boys?
They'll be fine.
You don't know that.
Look, you can come back anytime.
If they don't have a mom around, I don't think it's a good idea to leave them, but I get it. Clearly, he who remains didn't care.
Your boys won't even know you're gone.
Yeah, but I will.
All of existence.
That's probably why Moby, if this actually was his life before, no wonder he doesn't want to remember.
What were you calling me?
Mobius.
It's a pretty cool name.
So easy. But yeah, like I was saying, I can totally understand why Mobius would not want to go back. If he actually has to leave a child or 2 children behind, that's not something you want to live with. I mean, I guess for our boy here, it's probably better for him to go back to the TVA if he was escaping Alcatraz. This was a lifesaver. Me again. Did you miss me? So maybe this protocol the TVA had is that it returned them all to their timelines or something similar and wiped their memories. That's what I got to think. That we saw at the beginning, right? And then destroyed the TVA. It just seems like an interesting way to deal with a shutdown protocol. Bro, come on now. You don't even know what that is. You learn nothing in prison.
Is this room safe? Warm here?
It's too late to ask Matt now.
So, is this everyone?
It's the ones that I know. Everybody else was kind of just NPCs for me.
There's one more.
Sylvie, you're gonna die if you keep eating McDonald's for dinner, sis. It's already happening. Her world's already disappearing.
This is going to sound strange.
No, she'll remember.
No, you don't know who
Loki,
I am.
of course I know who you are.
Yeah, she's outside of it like you.
What exactly were you expecting?
She's like, damn, I don't know what's going on with you, but I want nothing to do with it.
Get in the car. I'm buying you a drink.
It was never his choice to begin with, Loki. He who remains did that.
But Mobius should have a choice now.
You would be ripping people from their lives, showing them something that they cannot unsee. What kind of choice is that?
But they didn't get a choice in this.
Yeah,
And I can't give it to them without you.
but this is what she wants. This was her whole objective. Remember?
I guess this all worked out just the way you wanted
Yeah.
it to in your father's
I did. Were you not paying attention all of last season?
I want to stop He Who Remains.
No, wrong. Try again.
Yeah.
Is it really that hard? Come on. Keep
Yeah,
trying.
exactly. This is why it didn't work before.
I want my friends back.
That's really what it comes down to.
I want my friends back.
What about your brother?
I
He's
don't
still in
want them back.
space.
We're both selfish.
I mean, you're the same person.
But without them,
What about me?
where do I belong?
Gonna have to discover that for yourself, Loki. She's got a point, though. This is why you couldn't control the time slipping before, because you're not going to the root of what you truly want.
So that doodad just takes you wherever you want to go?
Yeah, he doesn't want to go back to jail.
Right, well,
Yeah, our personal watercraft.
This man's still trying to sell jet skis. My lord, sir. One-track mind. What about your kids?
Financing options available too.
Thank God, Mobius, find a purpose. But why did her stuff fade away? This is not the end. There's something still wrong. But yeah, that whole thing just Thanos'd away. We need to talk about it. Yeah, in her world. Why do I get a sneaky suspicion that everything's just going to start disappearing around her while she's listening to this beautiful track? Who's that? Who's coming? Who's that? Who's that? Yep, he just Thanos'd away. And now he's next. Cup gone. I beg your pardon. Okay, everything's ribbon. Everything's ribbons. Is this going to happen to all the branches that were created after she... What is happening? Mm-hmm. Dust. See? This is why you don't start when you don't understand what's going on, Sylvie. This is a great shot, by the way. This whole sequence was really cool. And then the whole spinning with the record. Well played. Something tells me Sylvie's going to be okay, though, because like Loki, she's outside of all this. Well, there goes your McDonald's.
Showed up and told each of us that we're the key to saving all of existence, and now, well, we're not.
I'm sorry.
He's like, I'm having an existential crisis. Just give me a minute.
You're fine without it. You're all just fine without it.
Are ya?
No, they aren't.
We're all here. The pens. We have all the pens.
She's like, what does that mean?
We need to read the collective temporal aura of everyone in this room on the 10 pad.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it go?
Casey, the thief.
I didn't take it.
Listen.
Oh, well, guess we're not reading him. Not OB, no!
No, I have to go back to see my boys.
They're probably gone. Respectfully.
There's nowhere left to go.
Wow. This is his worst fear coming true, right? He said, I don't want to be alone, and now that's exactly what manifested. Come on, Loki, you exist outside of this. Oh, look at him grabbing on. Do you help him trying to grab onto the threads of everything he cares about? Look who controlled his time slip.
There's nowhere
Yep.
left to go.
There we go.
I did it.
Did what?
You controlled the time slip.
I controlled it.
Hurry up. We all know things are about to fall apart in 30 seconds, Loki. Come on.
It's not about where, when, or why.
Mm-hmm.
It's about who.
And you're the who? Or the people are the who? Collective who?
I can rewrite the story.
Look at you. You've always wanted a purpose to make you important. And here it is, baby. Oh, of course you end. Wow. Okay, let's just make sure that actually is the end. Seriously, the credits are so long in this show, I never know. Whoo, that was really good. I really like that episode. I think that's my favorite of the season so far, actually. I really like, again, delving into Loki more. Again, this show's called Loki, and I feel like a lot of last season was somewhat about Loki, but it was kind of more Sylvie's story, and now this is kind of getting back to the crux of Loki and what makes Loki tick and why he does what he does and where, you know, why he has a reason to change the way that he's always been up until now. And like last season, we had Mobius kind of dig deep with Loki and trying to get to the whys of why he acted the way he did in the past to get him to where he was at the TVA at that point. You know, how he selfishly acted and lashed out against so many people, trying to hurt his father, trying to hurt Thor, trying to basically just do the worst because he felt very angry and hurt and lost. And basically, once he recognized that, he was able to at least stop some of those behaviors. But it's not enough to just do that. You have to kind of know where you're going next. And I think that's what was missing for Loki was, what's my purpose going forward? And one thing that has been consistent, I believe, with Loki throughout all of the movies is that despite all of the nonsense of him trying to get back at Thor and punish his father and all the other stuff, at the core of all of it was a boy who always felt like he didn't fit in his family. He had his dad, who was this big god. He had Thor, who was this big god. He had his mom, who was this benevolent, kind woman. And then there was him, who always felt like he was either trying to walk in Thor's footsteps or try to get noticed by their father. And when he found out the truth about the fact that this wasn't even his biological family, it's like on top of that, he didn't even get a chance to know who he was supposed to be. So Loki is always, everything that he's done has stemmed from this idea of trying to be important, trying to feel significant, to feel like he had a purpose. And he, at first, before, he used to think that that purpose was to rule Asgard, and that he thought the only way he could get there was by taking out his father and brother. But he loved his father and brother. Right, we saw especially when what was that, Thor 3? Yeah, Thor 3, when we finally lose what is their dad's name? Why did that just go right out of my head? But when their father dies, you see that for the first time that Loki actually did love his dad, even though there was clearly some deep problems there. But anyway, now that he realizes that ruling Asgard is not really the purpose that belongs to him, nor that he really wants, it still remains that he wants to be someone who's of import. He needs to have a purpose in life. And that's something that, for example, Sylvie, her purpose up until now was to free herself from the bondage of the TVA. She wanted to be able to know that no matter what life she forged for herself going forward, the TVA would never again step in and decide what she was supposed to do. So that was her purpose in life, was freedom, right? Mobius, when they talked about it a couple episodes ago, said, I don't want to look back at my life because I believe my purpose is to be here at the TVA, keep it running, keep the sacred timeline and everything else safe. That's my purpose. I'm good. Loki couldn't really say that before. And that's why when the TVA blew up and everyone was gone, Loki lost himself entirely. He's like, what's going on? Like, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know where I belong. I don't know what purpose I have if my friends aren't here, which that's very real. Like, that's a very real thing that even us as people might very heavily identify with, our families, with our friendship circle, with our jobs. Like, there's so many things that we might have in our lives that we think define who we are and who we're supposed to be. But the truth is that all of us have a purpose somewhere. Some of us know what that is. Some of us are still trying to figure it out, and it can change throughout your life as well. And so you need to discover what that is, basically, before you can really start to make steps and do things that matter to you and make steps that are right for you, right? You can't do it to please other people. You can't do what you think people want of you. You got to come from a place where it means something to you. And for Loki, we saw that when, what was his name in this one? Not OB, what was his name in this world? We're just going to call him OB because he's still OB to me. When OB asked them the question, like, when it comes down to science, it's always the how, but for fiction, it's the why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to time travel back? Why do you want to save everybody? What's the real reason? And at first, Loki spouted off what he thought everyone would want him to say, right? Yeah, I want to save the TVA because I need to save the sacred timeline. I need to save everybody. I got to protect us against what's coming. And to some extent, that's probably true. But Loki's intrinsically quite selfish. Like, let's not forget. My guy's come a long way, but intrinsically, he's still a pretty selfish dude. He's still a bit of a vainglorious dude. So is Thor, like a lot of people in the Marvelverse are. But that's kind of who he is. Like, he's not that altruistic, and that's not going to just suddenly come through after one season, right? It's not quite true. So it didn't ring true, and that's why he wasn't able to do anything with that, because he was doing what he thought would make him likable, right? He knew that Mobius would probably want to hear him say that. He knew that Sylvie, who had this very big, grandiose purpose, would probably respect that, but that's not really what it came down to. And so again, when he was sitting with Sylvie in that bar and she was like, and he was kind of like, Sylvie, shouldn't you care about what's happening? Shouldn't you want to? And she's like, no, like, I've been trying to tell you since last season, I wanted to free myself. I wanted everyone to live the way that they were supposed to live. I don't care beyond that. That's my purpose. I'm totally at peace with whatever happens to the TVA and whatever else, as long as my purpose was accomplished. And that's the whole point of having a purpose, right? It really is for you. And it is intrinsically somewhat selfish, and that's okay. But yeah, so she's like, that's why I'm good. She's like, you need to ask yourself why you're not good with it. And that's where we have him say, again, he spouts out all the stuff he thinks everyone wants to hear. And she's like, yeah, no. Nice try. No, what do you really want? Why are you really here? It's not that.
You didn't even know the TVA existed till like a couple months ago. You don't give a damn about it that much. What is this really about? And finally, he had to be like, I want my friends back. I want this world, this new connections that I've created with this new me. I don't want to lose that because it's tied to this identity that I'm still forging. You know, it's tied to that. It's who I am at this moment, and I don't know who I'm going to be yet. I've always been that Loki before that was the villain. I don't want to be a villain anymore, but then what am I, right? And his friends were kind of his tethering points at that point. So I love that she brought that out of him and she was like, yeah, okay. And then intrinsically beyond that, we hear him say his deep set fear, the deepest of his fears, which is, I don't want to be alone. And that's pretty much every human on the planet, right? None of us want to be alone. Really, even if we don't like people that much, we don't want to be alone, you know? So yeah, it's what it comes down to. And so, like she said, like, well, that's a different reason. And then you need to deal with what that means. And she's like, that's selfish though, right? Like you possibly keeping all these people from living the life they were supposed to live so you aren't left alone. Is that really that's best for them, or is that what's best for you, right? So that's really shown growth for Loki, actually, the fact that he went back with the intent of letting them all go at that point. Because he was like, yeah, actually, it's true. Like, this isn't about them. This is about me. And they can't help me figure out who I am, truthfully. They can support me in it, but they can't really make that decision or choose that for me. So I really like that it showed that Loki kind of really crossed a bridge here as far as his growth, I think, and realizing that he has got to discover what his purpose is outside of the people around him. Like he can definitely choose to surround himself with better people. I like that he came back and was ready to let everybody go. But then when he saw that everything was falling apart again, his motivation, what pushed him to do the time travel, was realizing his worst fear was about to happen, that he was about to be alone, that everyone was going to be lost. Everyone he cared about. So, and I just thought that was such a good scene there towards the end where everything is ribbons, and these ribbons are all of his new friends, and let's face it, his new family. And he's just desperately grasping, trying to hold on to these strands as they're turning into dust in his hands. Like that was such beautiful symbolism. And the desperation in his face, like he was like, no, I can't let this happen. I can't be alone. I can't let this happen. And so that motivation, that was his true motivation. And then he finally found the power to control the slipping at long last. And then we see that at the end, he says, it's not a matter of why, it's who, AKA me, as in I now have a purpose. It really is the why, but who is in him, and the why is now I have my purpose, and my purpose is to save the people I care about. And in order for me to do that, I need to save the TVA. So I save the TVA, I save my friends, I don't end up alone, right? So problem solved, right? But it's just, I love that it kind of took this whole episode for him to recognize that, because I don't know that Loki would have gotten there. He would have maybe eventually, but he probably wouldn't have gotten there this quickly if the TVA exploding hadn't happened. So now he has his new purpose. You see that once he got it, he was able to do all the jumping that he needed to do. And now he knows what he needs to do in order to stop everything. So we're going to be able to keep Timely from disappearing. And God knows, he already knows now the sequence of events that lead up to where he was. So he'll be able to strategically, ideally now, jump around and do what needs to be done. This reminds me a lot, actually, of the Avengers storyline, Avengers 2, of like how they had to go do a bunch of time travel in order to get all the time stones. Remember that? It kind of reminds me of that similar plot. But yes, now Loki is the sole person at the moment, it seems like, that has the ability to slip through time and get to where he needs to make sure the ducks are in a row to stop the TVA from exploding. So I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as that, but at least we have a way out, which we didn't have before. And I do like that Loki was able to get there, and we were able to, again, like get some more insight into Loki's thoughts and feelings and what drives him as a character. Because I think that's the most important thing when you're doing a show that's focused on someone like Loki, it is giving him those layers of complexity. So yeah, really good episode. There really wasn't much outside of that. It definitely was mostly focused on Loki. And it was really cool to just kind of see the way, even though everyone was disparately in their own lives, there are ways to kind of pull it all back together to show us what's going on with Loki and why it's important for him to do what he needs to do. So yeah, a really good episode. I liked it. I love the visuals we got in this episode. Really great visualization, great dialogue. And like I said, we've got some new character growth for Loki, which is great, considering that we're about the halfway point of the season. So yeah, I'm interested to see what we're going to do for the rest of the season and how Loki's going to jump these imaginary hoops to hopefully save the TVA going forward. So that's pretty much it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this video along with me. If you did, please show some love to it and leave some comments below, and we will see you in the next video.